Ladies and gentlemen, this is an extreme pleasure. I have a good friend of mine here, but before we get to her and her well put together self, I mean, all her edges are laid. Her eyebrows stay done, and her teeth are as white as snow. That would be Nissi, but she's not just Nissi. She's something else. She is a fireball, which I'm pretty sure you would hear. She's also running for Houston City Council, specifically District D. She is immediately becoming one of my friends. She is PhD Dr. Nissi Hamilton. She's a comedian, national comedian, motivational speaker, and believe this, she's a mother of 7. Doesn't even look like she ate bread her whole life, and she's a mother of 7. She's a chief marketing and chief operating officer of Equally Yoked, which we'll talk about, which is an underground restaurant, hospitality, all good stuff there, with the chef, who is her husband. His name is Kenneth Hamilton. Ladies and gentlemen, forget all the introduction stuff. I've got to let her talk for herself. She is a fantastic person. Nissi, won't you come in your own way and really tell us who you are?
Oh, hey, everybody. Thank you, Antonio, for having me on the show today. This is so amazing. I'm excited and happy and nervous all at the same time. But I love you. I cannot just wait to tell you guys my story. And I'm so glad Antonio was able to talk about Equally Yoked and just some of the things that we do here in Houston. And because I know, Antonio, you're in Galveston, right?
That is right, Galveston, Texas.
Yeah, so I'll actually be out there Sunday. Hopefully I'll see you because we're going to do the march for the young man who was taken by the rope by the 2 Caucasian police officers on horseback.
Gotcha. So, yeah. That happened right in Galveston. That did happen. Well, if you bring some Merlot, you're pretty much guaranteed to see me. The Merlot tends to pull me out. I'm an introvert, right? There it is. I'm an introvert, but when people say Merlot or something like that, I go, huh? Y'all doing stuff outside, right? Something like that. Yeah, that'll get me out there. Man, Nissi, it's such a pleasure. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I met Nissi it was a big forum in Houston that had a lot of kids involved. Yes. And it was conversation with the candidates is what it was. Yes. And there were everyone from council members to presidential, like United States president of the world, right? No, president of the United States, and a bunch of city council. And it was a beautiful, it was like 20 different candidates. And yeah. Nissi came through, y'all. And y'all know me, okay? And Nissi, I don't know if you know, but about 30 to 60,000 people are going to hear you in the first 30 days, okay? No pressure at all. But this is a huge podcast, huge network. But I don't know if y'all know, and they know I'm charismatic. I got it going on. I steal the show. And Nissi came through and stole everything. Nobody even wanted to talk no more, because she just came through with her microphone. Before we get to any questions, what makes you so magnetic the way you are? We have to know that.
Oh, my God. You know what? You remember in the Bible when they said Jonah was running from the Lord? and God was like, Jonah, you know you're supposed to be over there. And he was like, I ain't going over there to save them people because you know, either you gonna kill them or you gonna keep them alive, and I ain't trying to see neither one of it. You know, it was one of those things where I had to really dig deep and figure out which way was I gonna go. Was I gonna keep running from God and not deal with these issues because it didn't just affect me, it affected everybody, or take the road, the hard road, which most pastors say bearing your own cross, bear my own cross, take this road and be the most vulnerable that I've ever been in my whole entire life and open up to the world about what happened to me so that I can go and save others and let others know that there is a way out. I think that was the biggest thing, was letting people know that there was a way out, and then how to actually get out of something. You know, that was my crucifix, like that was my cross. And you become buried in your problems once you decide to become public, you know. It's like, ooh, they gonna know about this. Ooh, we gotta talk about this. Like, ooh, I gotta explain this. I don't want to say it. And you know, it automatically made me think of Jonah. And that's just a biblical perspective. And I'm gonna reference the Bible to a lot of things, because we think that God gave us the characters in the Bible as a form of leadership that was to die off, but the leadership is still present today. And we forget how to deal with things, and we forget about the power of manifestation. Then as going along, my character developed with Rahab, watching her become this woman who was sex trafficked, and then being able to have a seat at the table. She was one of our first war strategists, and we remember her for being a prostitute, but we forget about her saving her family. And I just, you know, I'm telling you, it took God, it took the Holy Spirit to say, listen, you are that person. You are that person to go out and develop this strategy, because only you can do it. You know the ins and outs. You have the tools. You are an intelligent resource, and we need to use you for the kingdom. I need you.
You know what? Like I'm glad you said that. I'm glad. Hold on, let me stop you right there, because you said so much. They don't know you. They don't know you. So hold on real quick, because you said you're a resource, you're an intelligent resource, and you mentioned the word prostitute and all this stuff. Let's back up real quick, because you said earlier, well, you know, I've been through some stuff. Okay, but how? Yeah. Because you've worked with big brands, Oprah, Disney, famous footwear, Ultra, Cirque du Soleil, Toyota, Wired magazines, Gentleman Jack's whiskey, and so on and so on. I've done my research. Don't get it twisted. I've done my research, right? You didn't have this perfect life. What you mean you went through something, right? Tell us. I know what you went through, but tell us, because that looks perfect. That looks like privilege, okay?
Right.
Do you come for privilege? Start at the beginning. Tell us what you went through, what you used to be, and you know what? Go on your own way. I won't lead you no more.
Okay. You guys just work with me, because it's, for other people, it's easier to listen to than it is to say it. So, and that was another reason why I didn't want to tell my story, because I kept thinking, oh, as soon as the brands that I've worked with find out, they might not want to hire me again, or they might not want me to be associated with the brand, you know. So this was a big thing. But at any rate, for my girls that are being sex trafficked, as well as my boys and my LGBT community, when I was a child, I was homeless. And I was about 14 years old when I was in court with my mom, and I was asked to be emancipated. And I said no to divorcing my mother, because I couldn't see myself saying to this African-American woman, no matter the state she was in, no matter the destitute she had, you know, experience in her life, that she was no longer my mother on paper. And I don't know if you guys will ever know what that feels like, or ever been in that position to be able to publicly deny your parents. It is not an easy thing, and it does not feel good. And I recommend that you never do it. Never divorce your parents, unless strenuous circumstances. I know it's a case by case. We do have some abusive parents out there, but my mother was not abusive to me. She was just going through some things that I did not particularly understand. And 14 is too young to understand any type of catastrophe. But I did understand being separated from family, in which I was. When I was returned home to the one living relative that I did have, which was my grandmother, she passed away about 6 months of me coming back home. And because I did not have a legal parent, I was abandoned, and ended up living behind a Walmart, because I didn't know where else to go. I did not know what resources that were available to me. And I was living behind a Walmart in a cardboard box. And I quickly saw myself eating out of a trash can, having to take a bath in the Walmart bathrooms, having to, basically Walmart became a big resource to me for everything. And I started forging my mother's and my grandmother's signatures to stay in high school because I did not want the school to know that I was homeless or that I was having issues. I didn't want the life that I did know as a child to go away. I mean, because I still had friends, and their parents knew and their family knew. I'm sorry, guys, I had a call that ended it. But their family knew, their parents knew, and everybody would offer me resources in between times so that I could finish school and things like that. But I still, and at that time I was pregnant. I ended up pregnant. The tables turned after the pregnancy because I had nowhere I couldn't forge signatures anymore because I was 15 and you needed a parent to enroll your child into daycare. The things started, the more I started needing more things than I was able to have the adult to speak up for me to have. I could apply for resources and things like that, but there were just certain things that I couldn't get to. And what happened to me was I had a purse, and I would take my baby and put my baby in the purse and take my baby into school with me because I had nowhere to leave my child. And because I couldn't enroll into another school that took teenage girls who were pregnant or teenage girls who had children because I didn't have parents, my school counselor at that time recommended that, it was best for me to drop out of school, which I did, and to get my GED, which I did. And it was the hardest thing for me because, I don't know, I'm about to cry thinking about it.
No, we need those tears. That's just TV.
Because, and it's hard for people to understand, I had already lost my family. But when you start to lose your friends or you start to be, separated from more things, the exposure to abuse becomes so much more evident. The exposure to rejection becomes so much more, just so much on a bigger platform than what I expected it to be. So, losing my family and then losing my friends, it was like, oh my God, I lost everything, because I was trying to hold on as much as I could while in school. And I was also running from some things. Being behind that Walmart with my child and experiencing homelessness as a teenager in high school and not being able to have those resources to help me, I was immediately sucked into human trafficking. And, it's I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but I can say this: when people know that you have absolutely no one and there's no one available to you,
they prey on you.
It's so much easier for them to convince you that their ideas or that that their way of life is the best way of life. And that's what, you know what I mean? And so that's what ended up happening to me. Now, so you guys can understand basic terminology of human trafficking, which is prostitution, which is stripping, usually is done in most bars, things like that, or what they call titty clubs. When you 15 years old in that atmosphere, you're not thinking I'm being trafficked. You thinking this is a way of life, or this is the only way this can be done, or I can rectify the situation quicker. I can get to an apartment quicker. I can get to some type of safety quicker. And it was something I didn't ask for. The girls in sex trafficking groups, they become so protective, and they make you feel welcomed, and they make you feel like, oh, everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be so much better now, until you learn that you don't get to keep any of your money, until you learn that the resource that you have is only one resource, which is your pimp, until you learn that the man that you don't know is your pimp, you think it's your boyfriend or somebody you actually in a relationship with, has other girls that he's doing this to, you don't recognize it. You become socially independent, interdependent, and I had no idea, because I was trafficked for 3 years of my life. The Stockholm syndrome, not wanting to leave, not knowing that there's a better life or a better way. It's terrible, you guys. And I think the scariest thing was knowing that, and I was around different cultures of girls, white girls, Asian girls, Hispanic girls, lots of Black girls. The scariest thing was them knowing that because that had happened to me, no one was ever going to come and look for me. And nobody did. I think that it's when you learn that police officers are involved, when you learn that politicians are involved, when you learn that, your teacher is involved, you don't think about who you can go and tell, who you can go and run to, who you can go and ask advice from.
There is nobody to tell.
Yeah, it is nobody to tell.
No.
It's so scary. And I have two girls, and I'm constantly like, I have to deal with the issue of being between paranoia and just being a regular mom, and saying, okay, I will allow you to walk to school this week, but maybe next week, you don't walk to school. You try to have those boundaries, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, my baby can be picked up, or you constantly thinking what happened to you can happen to your children. You know what I mean? So just trying to.
It's rough. It's rough, and I have to let you know that. So I'm enjoying your story, and from a different level than most people, because every time we've met has been on something else, and you don't know unless you kept following me and stuff, that we have the same story. I don't think you know that. Okay,
wow,
they think you do that. Yeah, so I was homeless from 6 to 14, and was getting raped at 6, raped and molested at 6 and 7. Didn't stop until 11. I'm 54 pounds, if that, out on the streets. Slept in a trash can.
Wow.
For quite some time. So as I hear you, I'm listening, and I'm going, and I heard it the first time. That's why I want you to be on the show. And I never got caught up in sex trafficking. I got caught up in Black sexual abuse, which is a total different thing that, anyway, well, that's a whole different psychological conversation.
No, it
Yeah.
is, Antonio. That is trafficking. You know,
See?
and that's why I say I want you to look at it in terms like this. So when we think about AK-47, which you know, guns, it's a gun, and then you think
That's
about it,
true.
you think about heroin, which is a drug. You know, how many times can you retail a gun in heroin?
Over and over and over.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, but really, because somebody
Yeah.
got to do the heroin, you know, and eventually somebody got to shoot the gun. So the retail
Somebody
of it,
got to shoot it.
right, is one time. But when you
Yeah.
get down to our girls and our boys, you could trade a young girl, you could trade a young boy 10 to 15 times a day.
A day. A
And so
day. And the younger the better.
the younger the better. And so when you get into when you get to thinking about servitude and human trafficking in terms of doing this 10 to 15 times a day, which is very disturbing. You know, in 5 years of servitude, you be done went through about 6,000 people.
Yeah.
For people
Yeah.
that's
One of the people that volunteered for me spent 25 years on the streets as a prostitute call girl. One of the people that volunteered for me, it's a real deal. And so I'm first off, let me just honor you. Fantastic. We got to go deeper though. We need some more tears. We got to go deeper because you're running for Houston City Council District D. And I want, first off, let me just tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, she's been talking now for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. You see I'm actively listening, being quiet. And she ain't mentioned this. I'm the one who mentioned she's running for. You understand what I'm saying? So I need them to hear your heart. How you didn't come on here trying to be political. Oh, well, you know, ladies and gentlemen,
right,
I'm Nissi Hamilton, and that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're doing, right? It doesn't make sense for a politician to cry on a podcast. Yet you did, right? And it was a cry of strength, though, right? It wasn't weakness. It was, no, it was definitely. So let's go back a little bit. I want to finish ripping your skin off. So thank you for allowing me to rip your skin off. Thank you very much. When did you, well, you said a few things. You said so much, we can talk about everything you said in 6 different podcasts. Let's just bring up a few powerful things you said. That I'm interdependent. We can talk about that forever, right? Then you said that, and I don't even know that this is wrong. I adapted to my pimp doing this for other people. That's just normal, okay? At this point, this is how life works. And I know he loved me. I know I'm loved, right? And you didn't say it, but me going through what I went through, I heard it. Then it starts to feel good to you, right? Yeah, and then it's like, man, I know it shouldn't feel good. Now it does feel good. And then when you start waking up, you're mad that it does feel good, right? It's just all this stuff happening to you at once. All of that we can talk about for hours. And so we're not even going to talk about none of it, although we would do a total disservice when we don't talk about it. It's so much. I do want to bring up this here, though. 2 things. When did you know that you were being trafficked, or actually, let me take it back. When did you know that your body was being retailed, resold, exchanged, cut up, and chopped into from heroin to this strand, of cocaine to crack cocaine? I mean, you were just being repurposed. Okay, that's a fantastic word for it. Repurposed, wipe it off. Let's get you some more. When did you, and this is a hard question, I'm just telling you, when did you know it was happening and your survival instincts made it okay so your brain wouldn't commit suicide?
I was working one night, and we had a really big party to do, and there was some Canadian guys, and they came from like a major company, and the guy was having like issues with his wife or something like that, and they have what you call the VIP room, and he asked for a certain amount of girls to go to the VIP room and stuff, so we all went. And I remember when I sat down with him and he looked at me, he said, I don't even want to do anything with you. He said, I'm gonna pay you for spending time with me and just talking to me. And this was the first time that I had anybody just pay me just for talking to me. That was it. There was nothing in exchange. And he looked at me and he said, only if you knew you were the greatest marketer in the world. And I said, what's marketing? And he went into telling me what marketing was and what it meant. And so because I did not have education about my retail experience as a performer, or just as a being trafficked that way, I did not know that can be broken down into different segments that could be institutionalized in a way to make me a productive citizen. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that selling myself was no different than you selling the actual product. That's marketing. I didn't know that counting money at the end of the night is no different. And basically managing that money or managing that lifestyle was no different than accounting, or what you can do at an accounting firm when you're managing a business's portfolio. I didn't know that going up and down a pole is no different than working in construction and doing scaffolding.
Yeah.
None of, like, the miseducation was there. And I remember trying to figure out, and that's what I know about it now, because I had been, like I said, trafficked for so long. But I remember I wanted to know what marketing was so bad. I remember going into Greenspoint Mall, and it was a recruiter. It was early in the morning, and I was, I believe at the time, I was at New York and Company as well. So I was working there during the day, and then at nighttime being trafficked and stuff. And I remember saying, what is marketing? And the recruiter was like, if you're interested in marketing, what about the military? Have you ever thought about the military? Have you ever thought about, da 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 da? And I'm like, what's the military? Like, I didn't know. I was so lost.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I was so secluded from life, even though I was experiencing life, that I didn't even know what it was that I was experiencing. That's how disconnected from the world I was, because I really didn't know. I remember going in that office and talking to him, and I having to tell him, you know, he said, "What's your address?" And I remember saying, "Well, I can't give my address out." Like, when he started asking me questions about my stuff, then I started realizing that I didn't have none of this stuff. Like, I didn't have an address. I didn't know what my birth certificate was. Because like I told you, I was forging everything. I knew what was written on papers before. I didn't know how to get access to a social security card. I didn't know that I was supposed to have an ID. I didn't know that you could go and get a driver's license, how to get it. Because my life had been such a secret, because I was a somebody in a nobody's land. Like, you know what I mean?
That's deep, man. That's deep.
Like I was not supposed to know any, like I could not know any more than what my pimp told me I could know about myself or about my surroundings or about my child or about my address or about where I lived. You know what I mean? And once I realized that I couldn't answer his questions and that I couldn't give him that information, he started wanting to know why I couldn't give him that information.
Yep.
And that's what broke. He was like, whoa, wait a minute. You're doing what? Where? And you don't have an address? Who's your, when it got down to questions like, who's your mom? Who's your dad? And I couldn't answer it. It was real for him. And so then it became, I got to save her versus let me throw her away like every other person had. And so that man, I remember Reese Tyler, that's his name.
Shout out to Reese. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
He saved my life because he fought. They had to, Antoine, it was so bad that when I went to MEPS in Houston, I had to have a waiver for my tattoos. I had to have a waiver for my address. I had to have a waiver for my GED. I had to have a waiver for my children. I had to have a waiver for not knowing who my parents was. They had to give me a waiver to protect me as well as themselves, to hide my identity so that nobody would find me.
And you know what's crazy? When I went to MEPS, I had to have a waiver for my right arm because I was injured. I had to have a waiver for both my parents because, like, legally, according to the United States government, my parents are unknown. As far as they're concerned, that's unknown, listed in both categories. Yeah, both of them. So I'm not just hearing you. I'm hearing you through the experience of what you went through. In fact, I only start talking to save you. You should have jumped on the samurai sword. I was telling I was like, all right, let me stop it. She's gonna lose it all, right? No, and that's why I wanted you on when I heard you talk. And for ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, she was talking to this bunch of kids. And the kids were mostly women or young women.
Young women.
I should say. Yeah, young women. So her instincts came out. She's immediately she goes into protector mode. Listen, I'm running for council, but forget all that. You young women. And she changed the whole event. She changed the whole event to wait a minute. Let's help these women. And I was like, wow, this lady really, really has something there, and I really want her to educate my audience on sex trafficking. And before we get to, and I don't even want to spend too much time on the specifics, but I need people to understand us, right? Because today, my terrible story has made me famous, okay? It gets me paid. As a matter of fact, at the moment we're speaking, there are some, I can't because I got an NDA, or anyway, there are some people with Hollywood connections or in Hollywood, I won't say much, that are trying to make a life story out of my story. That, I have no other way to say this, but that shit sucked, okay? I can't think of a better way. I can't think of a better way. It's so terrible for the Houston, Nissi Hamilton running for Houston Council. I apologize, but.
No, and it's okay because that's what I tell people.
There's no other way to describe my childhood.
Yeah, and I tell people, and I want them to understand and to respect, I am the first African-American woman to be running for office as a survivor of human trafficking. This has never been done before, ever, because most of the time when you hear human trafficking, or you think rescue, you think hide, you think a runaway person, or you think shelter, you think food. Never do you think public office, compete professionally, competitive workspaces. You don't think like that. And people count us out because they think that we're not intelligent. Even when I'm speaking on my platform, I don't even bring up my degrees. I don't even bring them up because I'm like, you know what? To compete professionally has nothing to do with my level of intelligence. It has everything to do with my skill. And I am a very skillful person. And I don't want to be ostracized because I was on a pole. And from my haters, if you really think about it, I'm still on the pole. I just went from a POLE to a POLL. So,
all right, now talk.
It was not something that it was not something I asked for. It wasn't something I wanted to do or wanted to be a part of. It's just that broken systems and broken policies, I'm all too familiar with them. Injustices and living in disparity, I'm very familiar with it. Being homeless, I'm very familiar with it. Not having education, I'm very familiar with it. Looking at people bastardize our children because of economic and income differences, I'm very familiar with it. Dealing with healthcare racism, I'm very familiar with it. So this is not something that I have not personally just dealt with. This is something I've been dealing with all of my life. This is not just something I've dealt with just in politics. I didn't understand that my life was political or that I had overcome things that people were giving up on so much or that people had quit. This is my sacrifice. This is my cross. And I'm bearing it for the people who don't have a voice. This is the reason. I mean, if you want to get into stomping on stereotypes, I'm stomping on all of them.
You are definitely a problem. You are you're definitely a problem because one, you're supposed to be a statistic, and the people who want you to be a statistic have a major problem. They can't even throw up your background running against you because it's already out there. You can't use it against you. It's already out there. Let's educate the people. How bad is sex trafficking in Houston, Texas?
We're number one. It's number one for human trafficking. And right now, currently, we have 43,000 missing persons, and most of them are minors.
I'm glad you said that because
every 2 minutes in Houston, there's a child being sold and bought for sex.
Okay, you should repeat that because somebody needs to hear that again.
Every 2 minutes in Houston, Texas, a child is being sold or bought for sex.
I'm glad. I hope y'all hear that. Houston is a hotbed for human trafficking, sex trafficking. And let me tell you what I know, and then Nissi, add value for me, add on top of what I'm about to say. I've seen gold, what you call it, the we sell gold or we buy gold stores as fronts for human trafficking shops. I've seen whole, like they have a whole, I mean, a section of hotels that is their main clients are to run in and out sex trafficking of minors, not you know, and the hotel owner it can only happen at the owner's permission, and he or she is in on it. I've seen that.
Even carrying. So as long as you have an ID and the $20 for the 2 hours, you good.
You good. Just like that. Just like that.
The pimps right now are making 100% of the money, and sex trafficking has turned into $1 billion business.
Oh yeah, billions.
Billions.
Yeah, definitely. There is a place in Houston, Texas, that educated me on sex trafficking. It's called Elijah Rising.
Yes.
And I had to shout out to them. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's so much going on. Let's see if we can just dive just a little bit deeper, because I know we got to go, but let's see if we can just go just a little deeper more. Sex trafficking, according to numbers, we have more people sex or human trafficked slaves than all of slavery combined throughout human history. Right now, today, currently, there are more people caught up in sex trafficking than all of humanity has been enslaved in human history. What would you say to that statistic, that statement?
And I was just looking up my points from Homeland Security. It is very true. On average,
crazy.
It's estimated that 7,200 men, half of them in their 30s, seek to purchase sex from adolescent girls. And we're talking about starting at the age of 9 years old. And so this is averaging to about 300 times a day.
That's crazy.
So when we hear things like the TEA getting ready to shut down HISD schools, we start thinking about the truancy or thinking about the crime rate, especially over here in District D. Nobody ever thinks that human trafficking is playing a part in this piece of misinformation, because it very damn well is.
Yeah, I got to think of the truancy plenty of times.
Yeah, the girls are missing school, the boys are missing school, and being trafficked just as much. 40% of them are African American girls that are being trafficked in middle school.
Right, and ladies and gentlemen, that comes from culture, right? What happens in this house stays in this house. We can't afford lawyers. You know You know what? Let me throw you that question. What would you say to? Let's talk about the Black family real quick, because, and I say this with great respect, but this is not something I'm making up. This is psychological. Anyway, let me just say it. Black sexual abuse. Is so high.
Yes, it is.
In our communities, for different reasons. I won't say. Nissi, you are the expert here. Can you list a few reasons why we keep perpetuating and fueling the cycle of why it's so prevalent in the Black community to be sexually assaulted, sexually abused, or anything around or in between it?
One of the main reasons is because we never dealt with it from our past.
Good point.
And I could say this speaking to my mother's story, because my mother was murdered in 2008. And HPD didn't tell me about it till 2011 because she didn't have any relatives. And I wasn't listed as a relative, even though I was her child. My mother was a product of a rape. So my grandmother was raped, had my mother. She never met her father. My aunt and uncle's father was sleeping with my mother from 11 years old to 13. And when she got older, she continued to sleep with him as well. And then the family blamed her. He was never charged. There was no investigation. They never questioned his psychological state or her psychological state. And my mother dealt with a lot of mental illness because of that, experiencing that from her mother, and basically watching her mother sell her in regards to saving the family or keeping the house together, because the women at that time did not work and the income was solely dependent on that one man, that whatever that one man wanted, they catered to that particular person so that they could keep the family together by allowing the girls, especially the older girls, to be molested. And that's what happened in the African-American household.
Okay, I hope you know you need to write a book for sure. You really do. You need to write a book.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you know that. But
we got to get together. Let's partner up, Antonio. Let's do it.
All right. Now you're talking. You're talking now. I'm gonna throw you one more in that same area. We have a hush culture.
Yes, we do.
If Nissi is to be molested in the house, she better not go outside. And I'm gonna say it the way it is. You better not go outside and put them white folk in our business.
Yep.
Because at least that's how it came from. Maybe I'm just speaking from my side of the blackness.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly how it happened. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what the African American culture says. And it is so saddened, and I'm very disheartened by that being the only solution instead of dealing with the rapists. The rapists are never dealt with, just the children. And the children are the ones to blame for everything. So we quick to say, oh, she fast. Oh,
you know what? I'm glad you said that, because now we got to take it out of blackness and we got to get to men. We blame victims. We can't wait to say Nissi was fast, her booty too big, she dressing too short, whatever. We can't wait to take the blame off us and put it on you. Why don't you address that?
Yep. Well, okay, so growing up, I was immediately counseled out because the only conversation I ever heard was, "You're gonna be just like your mama." And I'm all my life trying to figure out what the hell is being just like my mama. What you mean? I'm gonna be on crack or something? I never did crack a day in my life. I don't even do drugs now. I'm like, what does it mean to be just like my mama? To be loving, to be sweet, to be kind, to want to cook, to want to take care of my children, to want to have a good life. What does that mean? Because all I knew was the bad things about my mother. I never knew any of the good things about my mother. And I was mentally enslaved to think that I was going to have this horrible life, and my family was projecting to me to have a life just like my family, just like my mother, because of the life that my mother had. So I was ostracized and just mentally castrated, from ever living a life that I live right now. I let me tell you, where I'm at right now, I'm not even supposed to be right here right now.
No, it's a beautiful home. It's a beautiful home. It's a beautiful home.
know,
I
right?
miss
You
my
been
free
here, I
meal. I
forgot.
miss my free meal. Yeah, I miss my free meal.
Yeah.
I miss my free meal, but yes, it's a beautiful home. It take
Thank
up
you.
a whole half a block, y'all. I'm telling you, she rich.
That's God.
She is.
I'm telling you, the manifestation of God is real. I was living behind that Walmart, and I told God, I said, God, I'm so glad I didn't complain while I was behind that Walmart. Because, Lord, the peace I was living there is about the size of the house right now. And now I wish I was living behind a super Walmart so I could have an even bigger house.
Even bigger. You got that neighborhood Walmart, that small one. Yeah. Yeah, no, you said something so fabulous. First off, it's just been a pleasure having you here. And let me just point out again, audience, y'all ain't heard her say, you know what, vote for me. You ain't heard that.
No.
Okay? Because that's not, now that is always the agenda. She wants to win, but
Yes.
that's not her heart. Her heart is to be transparent, be genuine, and that's why she's going to win, right? That's exactly why she's going to win. Exactly, because you're a real candidate.
The young girls, you know what, Antonio, and correct me if I'm wrong. I remember growing up in school, they said you could be whatever it is you want to be. And the first thing they threw out was you could be the president if you want to be the president.
That's the first thing they said.
That's the first thing they said. And mainly they was talking to the boys, you know, because we know at that time, thinking of a woman becoming president, that was unheard of, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. We were open to those possibilities. So, you know, picture me like that. Picture me being that 15-year-old girl that you said I could grow up to be whatever it was that I wanted to be. And now I'm here in the position ready to be whatever it is that I want to be. Are you really going to deny me the opportunity to become something bigger than what life told me that I could be?
See, that's amazing. See, you know, so that's I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm done. Because we're going to have to bring you back. We got to, like, chronicle. We're going to have to, it's just too much, right? There's no way we can cover what is Nissi in an hour or something, right? It's just no way. I want you to speak to what I'm getting ready to say because you just spoke upon it. I am a child of it's not real way to say this respectively. I'm a child of a prostitute, crackhead,
yes,
mother,
yes,
and a rapist father. Okay.
Yes.
To this day, excuse me, not a rapist father, what you would call sex trafficking.
Yes, my mother
underage. You understand? Underage, right? Sex trafficking, yes. Underage minor rapist father, at least according to his prison record and what he's in there for now, at this very moment. Okay. So when you said you was mentally castrated from jump, I never had a shot. Right? You act just if it was like if I was doing anything loose, I act like my mama. If I showed any dominance, I act like my daddy. Right? If I was around anyone of the other gender, I act like my dad. I never ever had a chance. I am a statistic through and through. So I want you to speak life over some young boy out there or a young woman who, like you and me, your mama was murdered. I've never even heard anything about your father, right? So we both had double strikes.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Because we don't know who he is, but he is presumed to be a family member.
Yep, that's how that works. That's all right. So we don't know the father.
Trafficked through the men in the family. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's trafficked through the men in the family. And if you do have, well, you know we got a father, but he ain't nothing. That's what they gonna say, right? She ain't nothing, and you ain't gonna be nothing. And they said the same thing about me. And for this created this for me. So where I didn't like my family at all. I did. This is why I stay homeless so long. Because one side of the family hated my mama. And the other side of the family hated my daddy. And both of them hated each other. To this day, as successful as I am, I still got folk in my family who don't even like me because I made it, but I think I'm all that now, right? And got that whole thing going on. What would you say to a me or you? And both strikes, like we ain't got no hope. There's no hope for us. What would you say to us?
God can use you too. And don't you ever think that God won't use you, because he will. That is your cross. That is your stripe. And you got to wear it proudly. And you got to get amongst everybody who has suffered those same type of stripes so that you can be lifted up, because everybody does not have permission to speak into your life. If they ain't never been through nothing, they ain't got permission to speak into your life. Like women who got 3 kids or less, I don't allow them to speak to me in my life, because I have 7 children. Until you know what it's like to actually raise up a nation, until you actually know what it's like to be a kingmaker, we ain't got no conversations. Until you know what it's like to want to kill your kids, but then make peace with them at the same time, don't have no conversation with me, because this is real life. This is a corporation. And my life is set up around my children and their lives to make sure that what happens in the kingdom, because the word of God says that whatever you loose in heaven will be loosed on earth, but whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. And we have got to stick to those principles. Be a principle person. Keep your integrity. And I know it hurts to do the right thing when you can do the wrong thing and be more successful. But please maintain your integrity and do the right thing even when it hurts the most, because that's when you know that's what you're supposed to be doing. Because this shit right here, it hurts so bad to tell my business, to open my life up. This is the reason why people don't see my children, because I do not ever want my children to be bullied or to be ostracized in their own way for having a mom who was sold into slavery and a victim of sex trafficking and servitude for so many years, because until your child come up missing, nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows how to handle that, and it just does not feel good. You can make it. You can do this.
Wow. God, I wish I had. You know what? We're gonna have to do this again. We got to. No, I'm serious. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm not joking, because
I believe you.
Yeah, man, because it wasn't until I was 27 or 28 and I was on TV with the Eric Q or something like that show. I can't remember no more. And that's the first time I admitted that I was raped by men. Like, I was raped by 2 older men.
Wow.
And I did it on freaking TV too, right? But it was like, as soon as I did that, I took back control of my life.
Yes.
I had hid it for that long. And I have to see. Now, come on now. You know, it was family members that raped me. Like, come on,
right.
Come on.
Right.
You
right.
know how this go. You know, okay.
Yeah.
You know how this go, right? You know how this go. I ain't gotta tell you.
Because it's almost like training. Because once you're abused in the household and your family don't do nothing to protect you, that's almost like mental training for you to be sex trafficked. Because my abuse didn't start on the street. I was trafficked with the men in the family as well. I didn't understand. I wasn't going up to them saying, hey cousin, you look good. Hey uncle, you look fine. You know what I'm saying? But my family made me believe that that's what I was doing. I was like, how? I wasn't even around this person. I wasn't even looking for this person. I wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean?
Wow.
I didn't do this. You know, and so it does become traumatizing. And when you see people who you love not even take up for you or do anything for you or whatever, it becomes mental aerobics and mental training for you to be a victim of sex trafficking, just like that.
Wow. Yo. Okay, I'm struggling titling this episode. I want to say something like a murdered prostitute mother, a sex offender father, and something with Nissi Hamilton to blend both our stuff together, right?
No, I get it. It's true. And I know people just like, how's she smiling? No, because at the end of the day, this is my life. This is something I had to deal with. And of course, if you go back and listen to any of my comedy, that's a lot of what I was talking about. I was very vulgar. I even did an interview one time, Antoine, and I was so embarrassed because who was it? It was Great Day Houston, and she was like, "So, Nissi, what are some of the things you talk about in your comedy?" And the first thing I said, love, life, perversion, And when I said it, I was like, "Oh my God!" I said that I talk about perversion in my comedy, and you know what? Once I let up, I said, "That's my truth." I do talk about perverted things because perversion is what my life was. And here it is. I'm making people happy about the thing that was killing me on the inside. It was the comedy is really what helped me keep from killing myself, because had I not, because I couldn't afford therapy, had I not been able to get on stage to make people laugh at the stuff that was hurting me like that, I would have been dead. I would have been dead 5 years ago. Because it hurt that bad to not be able to tell your story, to keep all that stuff pent up, and your kids looking at you like you did something wrong because your family telling them whatever it is they want to tell them. It's like, that is so not true. And my boys, because I got teenage boys, they don't give me no problems. They completely respect me. They come love on me. They come and hug and kiss on me, and I'll be like, "Hey, y'all." They be like, "That's our mama. We love you." They so precious. I have the best relationship with my boys, and they very protective of me. My husband is very, very protective of me, and so sensitive and understanding what happened to me and not celebrating it the way that other people have. It's crazy.
What?
I've even had people on the street with me about people talking about me like, she was a stripper, she was and they like, dude, she didn't ask for that. Like what's up? Haven't you been through something that you didn't ask for? Haven't you been mentally raped, deprived of something physically or whatever, and not been able to have that as a resource? And you gonna tell somebody that they can't because you don't see them that way? It's because people don't see me as somebody who can be professional. And I know that if it's happening to me, it's happening to women that's been sex trafficked all over the world. It's the reason why they can't get jobs, because people don't see them competing professionally in professional atmospheres. You know what I mean? And we've got to get over that. I want to break that stereotype, and I'm going to break that freaking stereotype. And if I wasn't on TV, I would say another word, but I'm going to break that stereotype, because you're not going to keep doing it. And once people hear the Nissi Hamilton story, they will be able to open up the doors for women and girls all over in my LGBT community, all over, to say, no, they do deserve to compete professionally, and they did have a story, but they deserve a second chance. And this is my second chance. I am asking for the second chance so that our girls can be free, so that they can have a success to live up to, something that they can attain and measure themselves up to. We have no value system we can measure ourselves up to, because Beyonce ain't telling us if she been raped or not. Oprah ain't telling us. She told us about what her uncle did to her and things like that. She's opened plenty of doors and things like that. But sex trafficking is something totally different than being raped one time. This is something you've been traded a day at a certain amount of times a day. And that's painful. It's so destructive. So we need somebody who we can measure our success up to. And I'm willing to open my life up to be that success measurement for our girls, our boys, and our LGBT community, our immigrant community, my Latina community, my prison to pipeline for girls community, my my pipeline to deportation community. This is affecting us all. Can you imagine how many kids? First of all, the feds lost almost 1,500 children. 1,500 children.
That's fact.
And you bet your bottom dollar some of those girls and boys are being trafficked. If they're not giving them pads and tampons, and they're not giving them access to use the restroom and brush their teeth, you bet your bottom dollar that those kids are being sex trafficked right now.
Yeah. That's, you know what? Let's just stop right there, because they not ready. They're not ready.
They're not.
I'm sorry. Ready. No, because we think when you said 1,500 kids, we think all 1,500 of those kids unscathed. Nothing happened to them. They just hungry, or they deserve it, or it's not our problem. But I've never, ever seen 15 people in one room in which 2 or 3 of them were raped or molested. I've never been in a room to where 15 people, forget 1,500, 15 people, at least 3 of them have been improperly dealt with by some adult or older teenage cousin, and it's normally family members, right?
Yep.
Crazy. Well, I thought of a title, man. Murdered Prostitute Mother. No, well, you know what? This might be the book too. It's a long title. It's for the podcast. A murdered prostitute mother, talking about yours, a rapist sex offender father. That could be both of ours.
Yes.
That's definitely mine, though.
Yes.
Right? And being trained for sex trafficking, trained for sex trafficking by family with Nissi Hamilton. That's everything we talked about plenty, but that's everything that came from your energy. What a fantastic episode. We got to get you to come back in your own way. As long as you want, you can say whatever you want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, all the show notes, in the show notes, or in the, actually doing video too. So in the description above the video, you can see all her bio. The first thing you're going to see is her PayPal link where you can donate to her campaign. Please. The first thing you're going to see, yes, please donate. She needs donations. You need a real human being like Nissi in office. She's not a politician. We got plenty of those. You need someone that can relate and is equipped for hard times. If she can survive sex trafficking, she can survive politics, right?
Yes.
So all that's in the show, no doubt, right? All that's in the show notes. As long as you want, whatever you want, I won't lead you. Whatever is in your heart to say, you got the final words. Go after it.
You guys, I just want to tell you thank you for receiving me. Thank you for actively listening to my story. I pray that you guys do not judge me. And if you are judging me, I totally understand that we do have some conservative people out there, and with respect to my people who are conservative and may not understand how to deal with this type of injustices, you won't know what to do until it happens to you or to a family member or somebody close to you. And I hope and pray that I'm available to be able to help you and to get you the help that you need, or become an active resource or voice for you in that time of need. But I just want to thank you guys. I cannot tell all my community partners and liaisons who have already partnered up with me so far. Shout out to Lee Clicks with Lena Loud. Thank you for jumping on board. New Lab series for getting the videos out to make sure people are aware about sex trafficking, what it means to me, how important it is to get the message across to protect our children. Thank you to all law enforcement agencies that have been working behind the scenes actively looking for missing children and making sure we get the help, the mothers get the help that they need. Lloyd, Uncle Lloyd, he knows exactly who I'm talking about. Thank you. The other Lloyd, he knows who I'm talking about. Nick, everybody in my campaign who has been supporting me. Charles Andrews, who has been an active father to me in my life so that I wouldn't have a missing parent, to my spiritual godparents, both mother and father, Pastor Gene and Gail Johnson. Thank you to my church. Thank you to Antonio Smith for taking out the time to listen to my story and making sure that my story was transparent to not just to my community, but to America, so that they will know that these types of things are happening and that people are surviving them, and we need to get behind and support them in any way we can. So thank you for giving me your time, and I appreciate it. Your time is everything to me. And to my husband, Kenneth Hamilton, thank you so much for having my back and being there for me, my children. To all of District D, South Park, Sunnyside, Third Ward, Sagemont, Midtown, Museum District, Pearland. Thank you to all my seniors who have listened to my story, to Pastor Landrew, who helped me when I was homeless as a teen, Cheryl Turner. I mean, the story can go, the list of thank yous can go on, but the people that I did mention, these are earthly people that God put in my path to assist me into becoming the greatest person that I can be. And I cannot be a success at all without giving honor to my mother, my late mother, Kimberly Lynette Booker. I am not happy that you are not here to see the progress that we made. I am not happy that when I look out into the audience after I do a forum or do a debate, that you're not there to say, baby, I'm so proud, or thank you for standing up and saying something for mama when I couldn't say nothing. I want to give you so much honor, and you get the highest honor and the highest esteem from me, your daughter. And I am so sorry that you had to die alone. And it is my hope and a dream to make sure that nobody's mother is ever left beaten, trafficked, drugged, and left in an abandoned home to die, to have their body rot in the wood of the floor and fumigate the house, the neighborhood. I would never want that to happen to anybody else's mother. And because you have been so instrumental in my success, Mom, Kimberly Lynette Booker, I just want to let you know I love you. And thank you, God, for always having my back. Thank you to my Heavenly Father for being a father to the fatherless. You are my number one. Thank you.
Well, let me do something that I've never done on any podcast before. God, we come to you right now, and we just ask that you restore Nissi. She has given everything. She is physically drained by now. There's no way she doesn't feel like a train has hit her. God, right now she is vulnerable. Her energy is low. Her life force is low. She was filled up and ready to pour out, and she did. So God, right now, let these words, let the audience who will listen and is listening, let's pour back into her. Because in this vulnerable state, someone's going to text her something stupid. She's going to walk out to something stupid, and let her be ready, because she is being filled right now as you listen to this prayer. Before I finish, she is being restored. I thank you for her transparency. Let her win this election. Let her continue to be a beacon of hope, light for women across the world, boys, men across the world. And in a crazy thank you, God, thank you
for
Father, giving her her past, although we don't want to do it again, she wouldn't be Nissi without it. According to our faith. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Good stuff. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Has been a ripping of your skin, and me as a host, I ripped it off even more. I'm so terrible. Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, it's a tear. Let's go get that tear. Take that off, right? No, but this is fantastic. We're gonna have you back on. We need to. I think I don't think there's enough sex trafficking information out there.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it, I don't think people know that it's gonna. Yeah, you help somebody, ladies and gentlemen. You've been helped. Send her donations. Don't send them to me. Send them to her. It's all in the show notes. You can plant better, and you can dominate.